Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Easy Explanation. In this video tutorial, we will be learning about the concept of pass by reference and return by reference in C++ programming language. Obviously, this concept related to the function call. So before understanding the concept of pass by reference and return by reference, let us discuss how actual normal function call is made in C++. For that, I will be defining two functions here. One is the add function that accepts two argument x and y and it just return sum of x and y, and there is another function main entry point of C++ that will simply call the function add with variable a and b. So if we are calling the function by using this concept, so what happens is our compiler will create, in this case, or for such type of function call, our compiler will create two separate memory location, one for main function and another for our add function. Now in main function we have two separate variables. One is a with a value of 10 and another is b with a value of 20. So this a and b variable a and variable b are recognized just within the scope of main function, as they are local to the variable main, so their scopes are limited to the main function. Now in add function, as you can see, we have another two sets of variable x and another set of variable y defined. Both are integer x and y. Now when I'll call this function add from the main function, you can see I am passing the value of a and b to add function while making the function call. So the value of a, which is 10, get assigned into x, and the value of b, which is 20, get assigned into y. So this is the concept of call by value or pass by value. So we are passing actual values of a variable to the function. So what you need to understand is this variable a and b are limited within the scope of, or they are local within the scope of main function, and variables x and y are local within the scope of add function. So if you make any changes to the local variable, the changes are not reflected in the memory location of add. So if you make any changes to values of a or the values of b, they are not reflected in the variable x and y defined within the add function. So this is the limitation of pass by value concept in C++ programming or in C programming language. So how to solve these limitations? So for that we have a concept called as a pass by reference. So what does the pass by reference does is, by using the concept of pass by reference, instead of passing the actual values, we will be passing the reference of a variable or address of a variable during a function call. So in pass by reference, we pass reference or address of variables in a function call. So if you pass address or a reference of variable in a function call, then what happens is, instead of creating two separate variable set like a and b and x and y, what we can do is all these four variables means a and x both will be pointing to the same memory location, b and y will be pointing to the same memory location. So how to pass by reference? So for that, how to perform pass by reference? For that, what we can do is, in this function we can pass the reference like this: int %x and int %y. So if I modify our code like this, if I using this % operator in a function parameter, so what happens is, instead of passing the values, the reference of variable a and the reference of variable b will be assigned into x and y. It means what? A and x both will be pointing to the same memory location, and b and y will be pointing to the same memory location. So instead of manipulating the values, or instead of passing the values, will be now, by using the concept of pass by reference, we are able to manipulate the values that is actually stored in the memory location. So if you do like this, if I'll call the function by its reference, then what happens is, instead of creating the two separate variables, let us say we have a, this is the memory location for a, suppose, and let us say the address of a is 1000, and we have another set of variable b, and this address is suppose 2000. So in the address of a we have value 10, and in the address of b we have the value as a 20. So if you call the function by its reference, then what happens is, instead of passing the values, now the add function, which variables are x and y, instead of creating two separate copies, what happens is, x will point to the address of 1000 and y will be pointing at the address of 2000. X will be pointing at the address of 1000 and y will be pointing at the address of 2000 now. So if we'll make any changes, to value stored at this location, suppose 10 plus 1, and obviously what happens is, we are making the actual changes at this location. So x and a and x now both point, since they are both pointing to the same memory location, they can access the same modified value. Now if you make any changes to the 20 plus 1, which is 21, and let us say this is 11 now. Now if you make any changes to this memory location, now b and y have access to the modified changes. So this is the concept of pass by reference in C++ programming language. C++ programming language. Now let us understand this concept by writing a test code, like so, test.cpp C++ program to understand the concept of pass by reference has include h using name space std. Let us say I have a function called as a int main, and another function is called as a check. Now let us write definition for check function. So void check, and let us say I have a variable int x is equals to 20. I'm calling this function check with respect to x. Now int a, something like this. Now this is the normal function call, it seems. So let us say I'm assigning a with 100 over here, x is equals to 20, and cout value of x is equals to x del identifier. Cout is not defined, sorry, I'm using stdio.h over here, io stream as include io stream using namespace std. Then we have a normal function call. I'm calling this function check with value of x, which is 20. And now when the call transfers to, or control transfers to the check function, so the value 20 get assigned into a, and I'm assigning the a with new values as 100. So what happens when I'll print the value of x after the function call? Let us understand that. So for that, g++ test.cpp and /a.out, you can see we have the value of x as a 20. So the value of 100 that we are trying to modify is not reflected into the local variable x, so it is printing the same value as 20 over here. So it is, what it is doing is, it is creating two separate variable, one variable a which is limited within the scope of check, function and another variable x which is limited within the scope of main function. So the changes made in the local variables is not reflected into the changes made into the variable check, or the changes made in variable check function check is not reflected in the variable defined within the main function. So that is the concept of pass by value. So how to avoid this, like how to avoid the limitation? So you can avoid this limitation by using the concept called as a pass by reference. Now as you can see, what happens is this function, now in the function check, both the variable a and the variable x is now pointing to the same memory location which contains the value as a 20. So if I'll make any of the changes, so now what happens is we are just creating two variables that is pointing to the same memory location. Now given memory location which stores 20 can be referred by variable name x or the variable name a. Now what happens after that? So let us understand this concept by running the code g++ and /a.out. You can see the value is now modified, x is equals to 100. It means both the variable a and the variable x is now pointing to the same memory location that contains 20. Now when I'll make the changes, we are making actual changes in the variable in the value which previously contains 20. So in order to understand this concept, I'll draw a diagram something like this. So now let us say this is the main function and there is a variable a and it is storing suppose 20. Now address of variable is, let us say, 1000. Now in a function called as a check, we are creating a reference variable in this case reference variable is x. Now in function check we are creating another variable called as a. Now instead of creating another variable, what we are doing is we are actually pointing to the address 1000. Means for the memory 1000, which is the address of 1000, we are referring to by the two name x and a. So in this way, so if you are making any changes at this location, means if you are assigning the value 100, it means what? Variable x and variable a have a new value of 100 over here. So this is how the pass by reference concept works. This is how the pass by reference concept works. 1000, it is not 10,000, it is 1000. Means, so in the case of pass by reference, what we are doing is, instead of creating separate variables, the reference variable, what reference variable does is, the reference variable point to the same memory location pointed by the variable in the function call. So we are able to directly modify the value at that memory location. So let's understand this concept by using another code. Swap.cpp C++ program to swap values of two variables as include IO stream state and std, then int main. We have two variables defined, int a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20, cout before swap, cout a is equals to a, b is equals to b indel. Now we'll define a function called as a swap, void swap int x comma int y, and then int temp is equals to x is equals to y, and y is equals to temp. Now after calling this swap swap the value of variable a and b. So what we are trying to achieve is, so the value of a, which is 10, and b is equals to 20. After calling the function call, after calling the swap function, what we are expecting is the value of b, which is 20, should be assigned into variable a, and the variable a, which is 10, should be assigned into variable b. So the final result should be a is equals to 20 and b is equals to 10. So we are expecting that results. Now let us execute this code and understand whether this works or not, or whether swapping of the values of a variable will work or not. So g++ swap dot cpp and /a dot out. You can see before swap the value of variable a is 10 and the value of variable b is 20. After swap we are getting the same output. It means our swap function is not working perfectly, right? Our swap function is not working as expected. So how to solve this problem? So we can solve this problem by using the concept called as a pass by reference. Instead of passing the actual value, let us pass the reference of this variable. Reference and reference, it means that now if you are using reference for variable x and reference variable y, so what happens is now a and x will be pointing to the same memory location and b and y will be pointing to the same memory location. So if you make any changes to the memory location of x, the same value will be reflected into a, and if you make any changes to the memory location pointed by y, then same changes is reflected in the variable b also. Means x and a will be pointing to the same location, y and b will be pointing to the same location. Now after making these changes, after assigning reference, let us see what will be the output. Now see the value get swapped. So the value got swapped. It means what? We are referring to the value at actual memory location here. So in this way the swap function is now working perfectly fine. So this is the concept of pass by reference. Now what is the concept of return by reference? So as we pass reference of a variable, we can return the reference of variable also from a function. So this is called as the return by reference. As we can pass reference of a variable during a function call, what we can do is we can also return a reference of a variable from a function call. So this is called as a return by reference. So let us understand the concept of return by reference by using a demo program. So for that I'll write return by ref.cpp. Let us create a file, C source code, return by reference, C++ program to understand the concept of return by reference, as include IO stream using namespace std. And let us say we have a global variable int x which is not assigned with any values. We have a function called as a int main. Let us say I want to print the value of x. So cout x is equals to x int l g++ so x is equals to 0. So like if you have not assigned any values to x, it is returning some garbage value. In this case the garbage value is 0. So now in order to understand the concept of return by reference, let us write a function called as a test that will return the reference for variable x over here. So the return of variable x will be of type int %. So in this case we are returning the reference of a variable x, means we are returning the address of variable x or reference for the variable x. Now what we can do is, let us call this function test as the as this function test is returning reference to the variable x over here, let us assign 10 to the reference. And if I'll print this line again, and see what will be the output now. You can see the value is now x is now 20. In this case, in this way, the return by reference work. So if you encounter any type of concept where we have used pass by reference or return by reference, what it means is we are passing the address of a variable in a function call. So if you are creating a reference variable, it means what? Now the actual variable and the reference variable both are pointing to the same memory location. The actual variable and the reference variable both are pointing to the same memory location. So this is the concept related to pass by reference and return by reference. I hope every one of you understood the concept. If you have any queries regarding this, please share in the comment section. And please like, share and subscribe our channel. I will also discuss some of the multiple choice question related to the concept of pass by reference and return by reference. So let us discuss that also. So multiple choice question related to pass by reference and return by reference. When passing a variable by reference in C++, what actually is passed to a function? So we are actually passing the address of a variable, obviously, right? So what is the syntax for declaring reference parameter in a function? So we'll be using ampersand symbol. So prefix the parameter name with the ampersand symbol. What happens if you modify the parameter passed by reference inside the, what happens if you modify the parameter passed by reference inside the function? The original variable is not modified, the original variable is modified, the error is thrown. So obviously the original variable is modified. Why? Because the reference variable and the original variable are pointing to the same memory location. Which of the following is true about returning a reference from a function? It is not possible to return a reference. It is possible but not recommended. It is possible and useful in some cases. Obviously they are useful in some cases. That one of the examples that we have discussed earlier. What is the purpose of returning a reference from a function? To return a copy of a variable, to return the original variable, to return the address of the variable. So return by reference returns address of a original, to return the address of a variable, to return a copy, to return the original variable. So it returns, basically the return by reference returns the original variable. So in this way return by reference works. So the answer is B, to return the original variable. So this is all about the pass by reference and return by reference concept. Thank you so much everyone. If you have any queries, please let us know in the comment section, and please like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.